Greeting, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me screaming into the void of the internet. So, what I wanted to talk about today was free thinking. Free thinking, free thinking. You know, so often in life, people are scared to think outside the box. And to me, at a certain point, I have this impression that because someone is not willing to think outside the box, somewhere in their subconscious, they have to be okay with what's happening. You know, I make this comment a lot in relation to living within your means. It's that, hey, for me, I don't see how you could be happy with the American mindset of this like over consummation of resources where you're just hoarding all of this crap that you don't use on a consistent basis. But with other people, when you see them moving and they need like massive U-Haul trucks, multiple trips, like, dumping this garbage off places, right? You have to get into, in my opinion, the position that, okay, they have to be okay with this. Somewhere in their mind, whether they want to admit it or not, they have to be okay with this idea that, yeah, I should just have all of this garbage that I don't interact with on a consistent basis just because, I was taught that as an American. Because like I said, at a certain point, you just have to be okay with it, subconsciously, at least. Because what I'm really beginning to understand is that even though it's not necessarily like you need to be a genius or you need to be an intellectual or something like that to think outside the box, you have to be willing to see things for what they are, not what you want them to be. And that's going to challenge your worldview. And you know that I comment a lot in relation to your worldview being challenged, and so a lot of people don't really care for that. It's like the whole Neo Matrix thing where they're waking up and they don't like that. It's very traumatic for a lot of people. I still remember when I was like learning a lot about history and learning about, a lot of the stuff that was basically put in the history books here versus like what actually happened and stuff like that. And it's quite traumatic in a certain aspect. Not like PTSD or something like that, but it's like you're going through life and they're teaching you all this stuff and it's essentially wrong. That doesn't mean that, the other side, when they tell their side of the story, that it's right, but you realize that there is a lot of information in general that is left out intentionally to paint certain countries, nations, in better lights. And that's really not how it is, because that's not how people are. It's a lot more gray, and usually both sides are doing some messed up stuff. So, yeah. But getting back to, like, say, the topic at hand, the point is this, right? This is the point. Thinking outside the box takes somebody who is willing to see things that are going to make them uncomfortable and choose to proceed anyway, right? And one of these aspects could be in relation to freedom as a whole, right? America likes to harp, they like to harp on freedom. They like to talk about how free you are and how you're able to do anything and you have so many opportunities here. But you will know if you are, say, just in my opinion, like a young adult male. It's very, very hard. It's very hard. Their job security is basically non-existent. You as a male cannot really receive a lot of the assistance that, say, a female would receive. And even if you were to say, okay, well, this is America, so surely I could be free on my own, even if I just had, the knowledge to do so. Well, not necessarily. Let's go ahead and just minus this for a moment in terms of like the struggle. Let's say that you are an American and you have purchased, air quotes, a home, as you will understand what I mean by this in a moment. Well, despite you purchasing that home and paying the mortgage and all that stuff, you have to pay this thing called property taxes. Well, what are property taxes? Well, they're just the government's way of saying that, hey, you still owe us for the so-called services that we provide you with by living in, the area where this property is located on. However, interestingly enough, that does not apply to the government, when they're the ones who own the property. So, the grass that you had to trim and maybe the trees, branches that were overreaching because nobody trimmed them in a while. Yeah, well, the government, when they own the house, that doesn't matter. They don't have to pay the fines. They don't have to do any of that. It's all back on you. So then you say, okay, well, if I have to pay for the services that are being provided for me, well, then surely I could, just use private services, right? Instead of using the dumpster, not dumpster, but the waste services, I could maybe, dispose of things myself, create a compost, bin, and take things to the dump manually. Well, even then, they will start getting irritated that you're not using their services. For example, let's take electricity for a minute. It is illegal for you to not be connected to the grid. So that would imply that they don't want you to have any other services other than the ones being issued by you, even if you have the technology to do so. Even if you were to go so far as to put solar panels on your house, they will try and tax you for solar panels, even though the sun's energy is freely given. So, make it make sense. The point that I'm trying to get at here is even in instances where you might assume that you could be free in terms of, I guess, on a metaphysical level of what freedom means, or just free in terms of free thinking, you realize that it takes a lot of mental fortitude to be willing to look at these issues from that standpoint and realize just how much people want to box you in. And it can't be that you're the only one who sees this. I think other people see this, they acknowledge it, and so they don't really want to think about it because, again, it challenges their worldview, and it's a traumatic thing for them. Because how many patriots, right, do you think about that are saying, oh, well, I love this country, America's the best country ever, but then they defend stuff like that? Oh, well, we have to get taxed into oblivion. You should support the government taxing your arsenal and stuff like that. You should support them not allowing any kind of private services, and you only have to, indulge in the government-issued services, even though they're freaking dog crap. So, it's interesting. For me, I have come to learn that as someone who's a free thinker, you're really going to be the minority. And not because, again, you're better than someone. It's not because your mind is sharper than someone. It's because you are willing, in spite of the pain, to look at things that make you uncomfortable. Whereas a lot of people will look at things and say, this makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to think about it. It's like thinking about the concept of death, right? A lot of people push the concept of death to the back of their minds. Well, that's not going to happen for a very long time. I'm entitled to live till I'm 80 years old. I'm going to live to 100. And that's not really how life goes, Like, I could freaking die, a freaking plane could land on my house, meteor. I could go out, have a heart attack, just go to sleep, don't wake up. There's a lot that can take you out. But a lot of people don't like thinking about that because, again, it makes them uncomfortable. So as someone who is a free thinker, you are willing to see things for what they are. You're willing to see things that make you uncomfortable. And you're willing to say, you know what? I need to make changes to my life to navigate things in a manner where it maximizes, at least for me, and I've usually come to feel like it's a bit more common amongst free thinkers, I need to make changes to my life to maximize how much freedom I will have. Be it financial freedom or just freedom to think clearly, they make changes. Now, I'm not going to say what those changes are because, again, they're going to differ from person to person. For me, it's giving up a lot of materialism. It's giving up a lot of consumerism. Nothing's wrong with having nice things. Nothing's wrong with wanting nice things. But this overindulgence where you have all of this crap and you literally need multiple trucks just to take it with you and you can't really interact with it on a consistent basis. It's like, okay, what's the point, What's the point? That's not me one of these people saying, oh, you'll own nothing and be happy, or, oh, just own it digitally. I'm not saying that, not by any means. But I'm saying that when you have truckloads full of crap, you might want to reconsider, You might want to reconsider. So, I think coming to conclusions like this leaves people in either two categories. They want to be conscious of it, and they make the changes to their lives, allowing for the pain to bring clarity, or they see it for a second, they see the pain, and they choose to go ahead and put the wool over their eyes, It's something that's rather interesting to see because people claim that they want freedom, but then when they see that it costs something, when they see that even if it doesn't cost anything in terms of like what I'm saying, like say you have to give up materialism, you don't have to give up materialism. This is just like what I'm saying for me. But they see that it costs something. They see that it costs, losing trust in a worldview that they have. They're so frightened by it that they just put the wool back on. So you really got to ask yourself, how many people actually want freedom? And that's an interesting thing to ask, because a lot of people claim that they want freedom, but when, all said and done, actions speak louder than words. And considering how quick people put on, the wool over their eyes, doesn't really seem like it. Look at just everyone's favorite year, 2020. Look at how easy people were willing to say, hey, listen, you can't meet with your family, you can't do this, you can't do that. Remember the summer of love? Look at how quick they were to act when they were told that something had been done to someone unjustly. The summer of love. Trying to keep my words, spare and sparse on this, because good old YouTube doesn't like when you talk about this year in particular, because they know what happens. But hopefully, people who usually listen to these videos, I know you're sharper. You're a lot sharper than, what the government wants you to be, and what normies want you to be, NPCs. So you know what I mean by that. It was very easy to get these people that claim that they enjoy freedom and lifestyles to just say, hey, listen, not only am I going to give up my freedom, you need to give up your freedom too for the supposed, air quotes, greater good. Oh, yes, the good old greater good. How often has the greater good been used, be it religiously, scientifically, I don't know if this is a word, militantly or militaristically? I don't know if that's might not be a word, but militantly, I know that's definitely a word, to condone like absolute barbarism, the supposed greater good, really gives you something to think about, So I know today was just me talking about something, because fortunately I do have 2 job interviews tomorrow, so I'm going to try and make sure that those get sorted out. Hopefully I can get one's at a department store, and one, funnily enough, sorry about that, that's the doggo. One, funnily enough, is at Waffle House. And can somebody explain what's up with Waffle House? Like, with the memes of people, fighting there? Like, I haven't been there but, maybe once or twice in all of my life. And so I don't know what's going up with the whole, everyone's fighting at Waffle House. I think it's very amusing, though. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. If I could conclude with something. Again, don't be afraid to think differently. I do acknowledge that thinking differently does come with a more... It's going to open your eyes, and it's going to be a bit painful. I don't, pretend to lie about that. It's going to be a little bit painful at first, but personally, there's no other way that I want to see the world. I don't want to see the world through normie lenses. I don't want to see the world through the NPCs where you don't question anything, you just blindly do what you're told. I don't like that. I don't like that, because at the end of the day, what's the point of individualism, right? What's the point of you being an individual if you just want to act like a hive mind? There's no denying that if everyone acted like a hive mind, you'd probably be able to get a lot more done, but hey, you usually want different things because you're an individual. So there are things that you want that are not going to be equal to what everyone else wants. For example, my dream vehicle, for example, isn't even a car. It's it's called a Yamaha Tri-City. I thought it looked so cool because when I was younger, I used to watch this show called Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And when I saw those dual runners, those little cool motorcycles, and there's unique motorcycles, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And so when I saw that thing, I was like, hey man, when I get going in life, I want one of those. That's what I want. Maybe someone's dream car is like a freaking Lamborghini, Ferrari, all that, all the good stuff. But that's what makes me me, and you in that instance. So, to me, embracing individuality is better for you. I can't say that it's what you should do, because I don't like telling people what to do, but it's better. Because don't pretend that you want to be a hive mind and then want things that are are exclusive to you, things that you want. You can't have it both ways. Have your cake and you need it too, for example. But don't want to keep rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you all for listening. God bless. I hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. I'm gonna say this again, guys. There is hope beyond your suffering. Your current pain now, I'm not going to pretend to tell you when it's going to end. I'm still not in the best of positions right now. But I'm hanging in there. So I hope that you guys hang in there too. God bless. I'll see you next time.